Testing 1 2 3. 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 Weird. That's really weird. That is really weird. Really, really strange. Try the gain. What's the gain? Matrix isn't working. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. That's not working. That's no good. All right.
That'll work.
Alright, here we go. Once more into the breach, dear friends. Once more into the breach. Cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war, as they say. So, again, I can't seem to figure out how to get Social Stream Ninja to work to combine all my chats together. I had it figured out one time, but, well, I'm just going to have to do things the old-fashioned way here, I guess. So, anyhow, oh boy, I tell you what, it has been a heck of a week here in Lake Wobegon. It's been a heck of a week. Last couple of months have just been awful, I'll tell you what. Especially since Christmas Eve has been particularly terrible. Hello, Pumpkin. Are you going to paint in my place? Huh? Are you going to paint? I've got some food coming because I would have gotten food earlier, but I've been on the phone with customers from about 4 till about like 6:15. So I didn't get to order food until just getting started here. So let me go see where that is. The Domino's man will be coming here soon. Alright. It's going to be a little while for the Domino's gets here. They're particularly slow this evening, it seems. Unfortunately. Let me grab something to drink real quick. Look out, Pumpkin. How you doing, buddy? Alright. It's been a heck of a week. I'll tell you what. Started out nice. It's just been... I never know how to count sometime when, consulting with customers, and I should charge for consultation. I think I'm supposed to, but... Alright. So, tonight, let's see, I went ahead and, so the bases are pretty well done. I wanted to brighten them back up after giving them a wash of Agrax Earthshade. So, a little orange, some orange sort of fungus on there, I guess. I need to paint their eyes and paint their teeth. So these little guys, these are Reaper bones. What are you doing? What's up, Pumpkin? What you doing over there, buddy? Huh? Finding mischief? All right. I mean, you can bite that dowel if you want, but not much point in it. Every hobby shop, every hobby needs a cat or a dog. I mean, some people can't have cats, I guess, if they're allergic. Maybe dogs, but oh my goodness, excuse me, I'm tired. So anyhow, yeah. So just about done with this group of goblins, and I wanted to try something different, so I went with sort of a goodness gracious, excuse me, sort of a cool skin tone, not green, not blue, just aquamarine, turquoise right in there. I thought that'd be kind of neat. I thought about blue, but then I looked at these guys' hats, and I thought, well, blue skin might make them look too smurfy, you know. So anyhow, that's what I was thinking. So we're gonna touch these up a little bit and get these off the desk tonight, I think. And then I got a package today. I got a package from an erstwhile and constant viewer. Sent me some things for use in our games of Space Station Zero. We've been playing Space Station Zero last couple of months because we're adults and we can only schedule in one weekend a month to play. So Space Station Zero. So we'll get into that. We'll see what's in this box from Black Skull. So Black Skull sent me a box, and we'll get into that here in a little while. Maybe about halfway point. Maybe when I stop for supper. Supper's coming in about a half hour, I guess. I ordered chicken Alfredo. So, all right. So let's go ahead and yeah, we'll go ahead and lighten this up a little bit. Put these dudes off to the side. One thing I really need to do is straighten up my desk. But we know what happens when when I do that, right? So Thursday nights and every other Saturday, or as I like to call it, the Super Alternating Saturday Show, or the SAS. So this Saturday at 4 o'clock, we'll be streaming for who knows how long. It could be an hour, could be 2 hours, could be 4, could be 5, could be 6. I don't know. Hard to say. Alright, so we're just going to get some neutral gray, and we'll get some neutral gray, and we'll get some dark neutral gray, and we'll do a little highlighting on the gray stones, and then we'll do a light mix for the browns, for the brown stones. Yeah, we'll just see what we got here. Yep, little drip, little drab there. Probably need to get some more water in this cup here. So I will do that, and I'll be right back. Get some more water there. Alright. Now we got some water. Water! Water! Water, cool water. It's an old song. Those old cowboy style songs. It's funny, it seemed like in the 30s and 40s cowboy music got really popular. I think it was probably already popular for a long time, but you had groups like Sons of the Pioneers, and you had Roy Rogers and Gene Autry and all the whole singing cowboy sort of thing. I thought that was kind of an interesting era of. You had Lash LaRue. So I think you had some really interesting cultural things going on there. That's a lot better looking, I think. That's a lot better looking. What's up, Pumpkin? What you doing, buddy boy? Huh? So, if you're interested in helping out a fellow hobbyist, go check out Impending Duff's channel. He's doing a little auction, I think, live auction for some cool stuff, and it'll help him get to Adepticon, because he actually makes a lot of his income each year from doing instructional programs at some of these gaming conventions. So check out Impending Duff if you get a chance, and if there's anything that he's got in his auction that strikes your fancy, you might try picking it up. It will help him. Alright, so that's good. Cool. It will help him out quite a bit. And if you'd like to help me out here on Twitch, I have the fundraiser for the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. We are $109 away from our goal of $250 to raise for the 988 Lifeline, crisis, Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. So feel free to put a couple of dollars in there for a good cause. might help somebody see tomorrow. Because today is not the last day. You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. This week I've had some really great customers and I've had some really weird customers. I've had to give people estimates that were more than my initial thought. Once I started sitting down and looking at what it was going to take to do the job, I looked at it, I'm like, oh boy. So that's a big estimate. At least it's an estimate, and the thing hasn't started yet. Pardon me. Let's see. What was that? I just got a text, I think. Let me check that out. Oh, sorry for the dead air, folks. Sorry. Oh, pizza's not here yet. Well, Alfredo. I ordered Alfredo. 2 rounds of Alfredo, chicken Alfredo. Anyhow, I got an email from the Domino's said that order was not what we expected. So for some reason they're taking an awful long time tonight. So I hit the Domino's tracker to track my delivery, and it came up. I don't know if the driver is using a VPN or what, but it showed the driver as being in San Francisco on Van Nuys Avenue. of all things. Can you believe it? It's like, what in the world is going on with the tracker tonight? Really odd. Really odd, folks. Very strange. So, and of course, if you are watching on Rumble and you want to help the channel out, feel free to like, share, subscribe on Rumble or YouTube, as the case may be. Rumble has Rumble Rants, so if you want to prioritize your message, feel free to drop a Rumble rant. That is the cool thing about Rumble, is it starts you out where it takes years to get to in YouTube. So you start out a little earlier, a little quicker. But it also has the smallest user base. And most of the people watching Rumble are more interested in the politics stuff anyway. But there's a few gaming channels here and there. So figured to get in on the ground floor of some alt tech, you know. YouTube can only be so abusive to people before they decide to pull up stakes and try other places. YouTube's kind of YouTube and Instagram, they all seem to be a little abusive of creators nowadays, you know. Somebody was asking in their Discord here this week, actually a fairly well-known, fairly large creator in the tabletop gaming space, asked if he should do more, if he should post more stories on Instagram or use shorts on YouTube. Well, if you don't have a whole lot of things going on Instagram, if your biggest platform is YouTube, well, stick with YouTube. Me, I don't have a biggest platform. I've got about 300 followers everywhere except for Rumble, where I only have 18, 19. It's kind of funny. So, but yeah, that's the thing, is a lot of these platforms, these social media services. Oh, let's see, Base Layer. Base Layer is a good one. I mean, they're kind of up and coming, but they are specifically just for miniatures, you know, model builders and miniatures people. Which I've got an account at Base Layer. I just haven't done anything with it yet. But there's a lot of things you can do with it. Looks like they're really set up to help miniatures people grow, I think. I think it's going to turn into sort of a clearinghouse for when a company wants someone to paint their figures for them. I think that's what people are going to be using it for. It's kind of a Tumblr for miniatures, maybe? Tumblr arts, I don't know, arts and crafts. I don't know, what was Tumblr? I mean, was it sort of like a social thing for social site, social media site for artists? Because I think Twitter was sort of that for a little while, and then that just kind of went away. I mean, none of these platforms are really designed to help creators create and grow. You know, they're just kind of awful. They push the big ones instead of helping the little ones grow. The big ones don't need the help, you know. The algorithm pushing big channels. You know, after you get to be about 250,000 followers, and taking nothing away from anybody that has 250,000 followers or 350,000 or whatever, you know, those are great. You know, take nothing away from them other than I don't want to take anything away from them other than the lessons I can learn from them. You know. But why does the algorithm need to push them? It should be like training wheels. You know, when you were a kid and your dad took your training wheels off your bike, and he says, "All right, we're going to ride without training wheels today. You're going to go ahead. I'm going to hold up the bike, and you're going to start pedaling. Just start pedaling. I got you." And then you go, and next thing you know, you're pedaling. Nobody's holding up the bike. You are going. And I think that's the way the algorithm should be set up, so that it'll push you until you get to be like 50 or 75,000 followers, and then it should like kind of turn you loose and let you grow more organically. That'd be the way to go to help get some of the smaller creators off the ground. I say that as a smaller creator, a very small creator. But I think you could do that without hurting the bigger creators, because the bigger creators are the ones that can help the smaller creators thrive, you know. So because without the big creators, the smaller ones can't get any traction at all. Not that smaller creators can get much in the way of traction anyhow. And it seems like, of late, the larger creators have started to lose some traction. But again, that's algorithm shenanigans. You know, it says they don't want to push, after they get so big, it doesn't want to push them anymore. Which is kind of what I was saying. But it also doesn't help them at all. And by that I mean it doesn't put out the notifications to their people, to the people that are following, that are subscribed. Also, when you pull up your homepage, it doesn't show you the things that you're subscribed to. It shows you, oh, by the way, oh, look at this thing. Oh, hey, today's controversy is this. You need to watch it. I don't want to watch it. Don't show that to me. You know? I don't want to know. I don't care. For today's controversy, you know, stuff is all just gets people upset and mad at each other. People stop listening. Incoming choppers. Looking good. Whoop. All right, so though we did some grays there, we'll do some lighter grays next. We'll get out some of this, what is this? Bright warm gray, and we'll mix it into the neutral gray. While we wait on dinner to get here. So there's some yellow, Cassandora yellow, that got on the gray there. So we'll brighten that up a little bit, or knock down or cover up that Cassandora yellow. And we're just getting highlights right there. Yep. On these lighter colored gray stones here. The wash gave it a little bit of a dingy brown, knocked down that color, made it not quite as bright. We're going to add a little bit of that brightness back in. And just let that dirt, that Agrax Earth Shade, tone those low places in. Little divots and dips that you would have in flagstones. Just like that. Nothing too awfully fancy. No fancy wet blending or anything. We're just kind of hitting some of the highlights, brightening it up a little bit. Right there. Right there. Yeah. Cool. So, well, hopefully there's somebody out there watching tonight. Hopefully you're out there enjoying some hobby time of your own. Of course, I didn't do a whole lot of promotion for tonight's stream. And I did kind of take a break, so, you know, people not showing up on the regular on Thursdays makes sense. Although as the hours go on past the mighty Mississippi, Likely more and more people will tune in towards the west. So towards the east, people up in Massachusetts got a dump this week on top of the snow that they already had. You know, when I lived up that way, that would have just been snowboarding city, man. I'll tell you what. I was supposed to go a couple of years ago with some friends, but I got my boots out and they had disintegrated. Nice boots too. I had Northwave step-in bindings, step-in boots. Soft boot with a hard back binding. Best of both worlds. I liked the step-ins because I didn't have to adjust them every time I got off the lift. So that was great. I mean, I got those step-ins, and I didn't have to sit down. I just rode right off of the lift, stepped in, and I was ready to go. I didn't have to sit down. I didn't have to do the slap ratchet shuffle or anything like that. And other outfits, other manufacturers had other ways of helping people be faster. I think it was flow bindings. Flow bindings were with ride snowboards, right? I think. So they had a boot and binding system where the boot was just a very regular, basic, soft snowboarding boot, but the binding, you could actually set the binding with the slap ratchet and the toe buckle, kind of average, normal binding on one end, but then you could actually flip the hardback down and step in it that way, and then you flip the hardback back up, and all your settings are the same. Hey Myar, how's it going? Subscribe for 24 months. Terrible twos. 2 years. Can you imagine? You have been wasting money on my channel for 2 years, Myar. Thank you very much for your support. I appreciate that, my friend. Heck of a week on your end, huh? Yeah, heck of a week here, too, I'll tell you what. Boy, oh boy. What a day I have had today. Yeah, that is crazy, right? So I'm waiting on some food to get here. Ordered Domino's tonight. I got home and I still had work to do. I had customers to talk to on the phone and people to consult with that were needing consultation and the like. So it was an interesting day today. Interesting day. Had one customer call me up thought I said something that I didn't, which is really weird. Well, my son said that you said... I said, I don't use that kind of language. I don't think I said that. So... that was a weird one. That was a really weird conversation. Really weird, man. Hey, permission to rain. About to buy. Hey, I'm about to buy my first army. Permission to rain says. Great. Well, what army are you buying? Do you have an idea? Are you going bog standard Space Marines? Are you gonna strike out and try some orcs? Are you gonna go nom 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 with some Tyranids? Or when you say army, are you talking about some sweet historical figures, or are you getting into? I assume most people get into 40K as their first game, it seems, but some people take a different route. So, permission to rain. Good to see you. Glad for you to hanging out here in the on the YouTube side of things. Sorry if I didn't see you directly right off the bat. Yeah, Miar, that's the thing. It's like, if anything, I would use, say, like freaking or flippin' or frizzin', but I wouldn't say the really bad one, you know. I would usually try to find some substitute, you know. So, but yeah, about to buy my first army. Permission to rain says. Well, enjoy that. Buying's only half the fun, though. Not even the fun. You can actually, you know, sometimes if you go on eBay, you can find armies that people don't want anymore, and you can get a big army for cheap, and mostly painted, too. My Imperial Guard army, I got for cheap off eBay, and then that was most of the troops, and then I wound up at a game store at one of the bigger cities in my state, and a guy was getting rid of all of his Lehman Russ tanks. So I went from about 2 Lehman Russ tanks to like 22 or 24 Lehman Russ tanks overnight for not very much, for a fraction of the price. Well, and you know, I mean, I was in a kind of an odd spot too, Miar. I was trying to get some wires stuck into a fuse panel, an old style fuse panel that was really dangerous to work in, and the screw would not go back in. So I was kind of frustrated with that. And it was the guy, the customer was somebody that I had given a quote to some time back about redoing their whole service. And I never heard back from them after I gave it to them. And it was like they were just trying to do everything not to make a decision on having the new service installed. So I did call him a cheapskate under my breath while I was working, because I was mad that I was having to do it, because it was something I wouldn't have to do if he had bought the service replacement outright. But he didn't, so I had to go back and do this like just real, you know, janky wanky sort of thing. So So I was upset at the situation, not the customer really. But his son said something after I left about it, I guess. And he called me up, "Are you mad at me? Or did I do something to make you mad?" Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my goodness. The guy took it personally, I guess. It's like, man, it's just really weird. Really weird. Really, really weird. Alright, let's see. We'll go with some of this and work on some of the use the orange brown and go to these what would you call them, like sandstone sort of bits. Yeah, and you know, Miar, you've been around me personally, and you've watched the channel long enough to know that I don't really put up with that kind of language generally. Other people might use it around me, but I'm just not. It's not my fashion to do so. It's just not something I really grew up with, was around. So it's just not. You know, they say if you can control your tongue, you can control the world, right? So that's the truth. That's the true strength, is to be able to control your tongue. A lot of people can't, which is kind of why we're kind of in some of the situations we find ourselves nowadays, societally speaking, is people can't control their tongue. They say whatever comes to their minds. It doesn't do good to present yourself. It's not a good self-presentation, you know. Hey, DD. See how this works out. Got YouTube on the TV and typing you on Discord. Yep. The world is going to heck in a handbasket, Miar says. Yes. Yes, it is, actually. Hey, Brandy Hawk, subscribe to me on YouTube, I guess. Excellent. Appreciate it. Yes, it is, Miar. It is definitely in a state of disarray. It's hard to keep one's composure in today's world. Stresses, frustrations. Finding your happy place is important. Finding your little escape. Everybody needs to find an escape from everything. You know, there's some people that they just love the politics and the drama, and that's what they live for. I don't know how they can live like that, but hey, more power to them. If that's what if that's their hobby, ain't for me, but sure. You know? Yes, Brandy is the wifey to DD Minis. Very true. Yes. And she takes good care of him, from what I could tell. So, good for her. Let's see. Well, hopefully that food will be coming soon. And then when I take a dinner break, we'll take a look and see what Black Skull sent me in the mail. So, What was that song? What was that song? Brandy, what a good wife you be. See, Dan did all right. Old DD Minis did all right for himself. I'll say that. She keeps him grounded and where he needs to be. What would you do without the Mrs. Dan, DD? What would you do? You wouldn't know what to do. You'd be all at sea. She calls you annoying. Well, that's what she signs on for, right? That's what she signs on for. That knife cuts both ways, I'm sure, at times. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. So hopefully, DD Minis is doing well this week. Me and Miar were just saying there's been a real weird week for us. Today was really weird, I was saying. But I don't want to really get into that. I already mentioned it. She's threatening to unsub. She's full of it. Don't believe her. Well, you know, people can do what they want to do. Hopefully she's doing well. Hello, Mrs. DD Minis. How are the cats? We were talking about wet food a couple weeks ago, I think. And cutting down cats' calories. Which I've been trying to cut down Pumpkin's calories a bit. He's supposed to only have 230 a day, but over the last couple of months with it being so cold, I have put a little extra food in his dish from time to time. Hey, Greedy, good to see you. She just got a job offer. Nice. Nice, that's awesome. Hopefully it's a better job. A gooder job. How's Greedy Twins doing today? Good to see you. Appreciate you being here. How's everyone tonight? Well, I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for myself. Doing all right. Today was weird. This has been an odd week, but we're almost through another one. And of course, now Saturday is going to be my stupendous alternating Saturday show, or the SAS, the SASS. As you know, as I may have mentioned, I think I put it on the Discord, that I'm trying a different schedule this year. Yes, it's more Gooderist. Excellent. That's great. A more Gooderist job for Mrs. DD Minis. Terrific. Greedy says, very tired. Thing 1 had strep and thing 2 was sick but didn't have strep. Oh my. Oh my. Strep, that's horrible. That's terrible. Well, hopefully the thing 1 is on their road to recovery, and thing 2 is going to be up and around again before too long. So, let's see. But, yeah. So, tired, yeah, on a Thursday. Tired, yeah, the week is just about through. I'm going to go check on something real quick. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back for just a moment. See if the food is here yet. Okay, that wasn't really a bio break. I just had to have something to put up on the screen there. Anyhow, so hey, Kristen Seeger, how you doing? Good to see you. So, yeah. So I just called the Domino's store, and they're like, yeah, it shows that it's been delivered. I'm like, it's not here. I said, it has not been delivered. I said, nobody has been here. I haven't heard the door knock. I haven't. I was like, I said, the manager, he goes, well, the driver's not here. I'm like, well, I said, he goes, we're going to have to remake it. I said, yeah, you're going to have to remake it. So, that's the cherry on top of being a weird, awful week. I'll tell you what. Oh my goodness. They're grounded. Yeah, there you go. They are grounded. For sure. For sure. Alright, let's paint these guys' little teeth. Let's do their little teeth. We're gonna slap some ivory in there. It's not gonna be the greatest. We're just gonna slap some ivory in here. And yeah. And then we'll do a little that's the one thing about these Bones figures is they're just soft on detail. So the trick is just to go ahead and slap it in there and not worry too much about it, and then we'll do a wash and oil later on to pick out the actual details. So don't get me wrong, I like these for their I actually do like them for their cheapness and their bulk quality. I mean, what is it? Quantity is a quality of its own. Domino's, you had one job. Yeah, right? You had one job. How can you screw that up? Yeah, it's like why? How in the world can they mess that one up? Well, I'll tell you what. Let me tell you this. Some people might not care for it, but I have noticed a declining quality to people that are doing gig jobs like Domino's or DoorDash ever since they legalized marijuana. It's true. There's a noticeable decline in quality of some of these service jobs like that. I got a Cloud Giant a couple weeks ago. Nice. The Bones Black have some good detail. Yes, they do. The Bones Black do have some good detail. Part of that is some of those are actually being 3D printed instead of injection molded. So they got a huge Asiga 3D printer, resin printer. And what it is the way it works is, you know how you'll get one raft off of your print? Like if you have a consumer grade 3D printer, say a resin printer, say here's the bed. Well, it prints things on that bed, and it comes up and it prints it, and by the time it's done, you got a thing printed and it's on that raft, and you peel it off the raft and you wash it and cure it. Well, these Asiga printers, they actually print a raft, and they print another raft, and they print a raft on top of that, and another raft. So they have half dozen rafts just full of little dudes, and they got a huge build plate. So think like a 18-inch build plate of these little guys on it, right? How many of these little guys could fit on an 18 by 18 build plate? And then, they do 6 of those, six rafts stacked on top of each other. So they do a raft, and then they just do another raft underneath that and keep printing another series. The one you have is an injection molded, though they still have not to put their minis in packing. Slightly too small for it. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and see, some of the Goblins black are the darker PVC too. So, but I got a troll here the other day that I could see the little nubs. The little nubs where the supports had been. So, but they're using, it's I guess you'd call it Industry 3, Industry 4, where they're actually using 3D printing as a means of production. So, but you can do that when you have a big printer that does dozens and dozens at a time. All right, so here we go. But yeah, it's like the issue with dominoes is just the cherry on top of everything that's just been bad about today. Not really bad, just kind of weird. I had a lot of consultation type stuff to do, and I don't even know how to charge it, People are used to getting like free estimates, but it's like, how do you, because we don't actually give free estimates. If I come out to your place, I got to charge you for my time. But the one thing about it is, I think the one gentleman will understand that I have to charge him for the consultation. The other gentleman, I just have to bake it into the price of the job. So, which I think he'll take it, even though we're a little bit. My price was higher than I thought it was going to be at first. And it may be that all said and done, once the work is done, I might be able to get ahead a little bit and actually give them a lower price. But, they say bid high, bill low, right? So. All right, let's see. So these little guys are pretty cool. I'll probably hold off on doing too much. I need to let them dry up just a little bit. Some of the work I've already done. I don't want to damage the paintwork that I just did now tonight so far, so I'll let that set up for a little while. It is 8:15, so we've been at this an hour now already. Very cool. We've got 3 people, 4 people here on Twitch. Welcome everybody. We got DD Minis, Greedy, we got Miar, we got Kristen Seeger here, all right here in the Pocket Dimension, the usual Pocket Dimension denizens. Glad to have you all here. At work, I switched to a different position for a little bit to try and help the company out and get everything is very hard and different. Yeah, it is. It is. Well, see, the gentleman I used to work with, who was kind of my direct, I guess you'd say, boss or overseer, crew leader, really crew leader. You know, he got another job a couple of years ago. Now, it's been, has it been 2 years now? Or has it been a year? Maybe 2 years. I can't remember now. But you know, I'm doing all of what he was doing. He was doing all the brain work. I was doing all the grunt work, you know. So it's challenging. It's challenging. Let's see. Time to get thing 1 to bed. All right. Well, you do that, Greedy. Good to hear a parent doing the right thing. Let's see. Of course, it will take some time to get used to, but everything I've learned so far I have down. But it's so boring now. Yeah, especially if you go from a tool man to a paper, you know, a desk pilot. You know, that can be a little frustrating. All right, let me see if the new order is coming from Domino's yet. We'll see. Yeah, I won't see it on the thing, I'm sure. Alright, so looks like the food won't be coming until about 9 to somewhere between 9 to 20 after 9. 9 to 9:19. Oh my goodness, that makes me mad. I shall write a sternly worded letter. Harumph, I say. Well, I wanted to wait until I ate to do this. But we're going to do a little mail call. Mail call. This came from Black Skull this week. He heard that we were playing Space Station Zero, so he sent some toys out. So paint these up for the Space Station Zero game, I guess. All right. I should be the priority for them at this point. Yeah, should be. Should be. Alright. So, we got some stickers from Black Skull. Paint Water Fizz. Nice, grape flavored, very cool. And his logo. So we got stickers from Black Skull. Sent that. I'll put that in my sticker stash over here. Is this a sticker? That is a sticker. At first it felt thick like a magnet or something. And unfortunately, I don't have any new stickers for Adepticon this year. I just have not had a chance to work on my new sticker designs for this year yet. So, here are some bugs. Some little, almost look like Necron scarabs, don't they? Very cool. So they're already primed up. So thank you for that, Black Skull. I'm glad you could prime those up already. I appreciate that. That makes life so much better. Never sent me any stickers. I've given you stickers. I'm sure I've given you stickers. Yeah. Very cool. So two stands of scarab looking bugs here. Very nifty. Very nifty. Now the question is how to paint them up. Now I do have Necrons, and my plan for my Necrons is to paint them up like in bone colors. And I do not want to put these in my Necron army because they were specifically donated for our Space Station Zero adventures. So, do I paint them up like bog standard actual Necrons? Because these are obviously not Necron scarabs. So, he gave me my Adepticon Black Skull. No, I mean Black Skull, big jerk. Yes, I see, understand. So, well, this is nice. These are cool. These look great. Very cool. So, I think we'll probably go ahead and get started on these because I don't know what adventure is going to happen with our the way Space Station Zero goes is it has branching story arcs. So you do a mission and you make a choice of which door to go through or which way to go in an elevator, and then it takes you to the next thing, which has the next crisis or room traps or monsters or creatures that you run into. So, very cool. So I think I will go ahead and... they're similar but legally distinct Necrons. Absolutely. Very true. So let's go ahead and we'll mix up... We'll get some Merlin's Magic Medium on this because it's starting to crust over a little bit. We'll rejuvenate those, keep them going. You wouldn't have to do that if you'd use your wet palette. Yeah, I know. I have a wet palette. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it. You know, I kind of believe in going with what you know and what works for you. So, I mean... So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this color that I'm mixing up here. And I'm going to paint the... do the same thing. We're going to work from the inside out basically and from the up to the down. And paint the... paint the base. Kind of a desert tan pink. Inspired by, but legally distinct from, yes, the Not Necrons. The long cherished and time-honored tradition of the Not figures. This is not that. So I think I will go ahead and I will paint these up as though they were bog standard real Necrons. Unlike my Necrons, which are not going to be painted like the usual studio colors. So I'll use this as an opportunity to do the studio colors. You could also use these to maybe... remember? Hey, do you all remember the replicants from Stargate SG-1? I happen to have Stargate SG-1 figures. There was a company called Phoenix Miniatures that made them, and they had SG-1. Then they had like some generic soldiers. They also had Jaffa, but I did not get the generic soldiers. I did get SG-1. I got all of SG-1, and I think it was 5 or 6 figures because it was O'Neill, Carter, Teal'c, Jackson, and I want to say, it was the other colonel, the dark-haired fella from Atlantis, or it could have been Jonas as well, which was the replacement for, what was that, the season 3 or season 4 replacement for Daniel Jackson. It was Parker Lewis Can't Lose, the guy that played him. But yeah. Yeah, these are really cool. And I'm glad that he already primed them. That makes life so much easier. Now, where's my big... Let's see. That's not going to stay very well. Huh. So, evidently, this is this a 40 millimeter base on this? Or is it a 50? This might be a 45 millimeter base, because I just can't quite... So, these Citadel handles are meant to go up to a 40 millimeter base for guys like these. So that's a 40 millimeter base on a Citadel painting handle. I think these not crons. We'll call them not crons because they're not crons, not necrons. Just a little bit too big to fit on that painting handle. And this painting handle, which is the big monster painting handle, is just a little bit too big to get a good size, good fit on there. So we're just going to have to caveman it, I guess. We're going to paint like it's 1992 again. Didn't know anything about painting handles or like. I guess I could get a piece of blue tack and a dowel, but that's okay. I think we'll be okay this time. Yeah, so big thanks going out to Black Skull 1965. Y'all know him, y'all love him. If you're not following him on Instagram, you should definitely do so. He comes up with some really great paint work. He's got a neat style all of his own, very very much more painterly than miniature-y, if you know what I mean. If that makes it all any sense at all. That is the one thing about 3D prints, is because you aren't putting them together, sometimes they get very elaborate and can be difficult to get into some of the crooks and nannies here, you know. Let's see what happens if we water that down a little bit. A little bit more. Yeah. That's a much more interesting deserty pinkish red color. Very cool. Nice. I like that. I like that. Let's go ahead and we'll take a little bit more of that orange brown. We'll work it back in there. We'll darken it up just a little bit more and get some of those. Get some shadows going on there. So to speak. Shadows. Maybe not. I mean, I'm not really one to really paint with light like a lot of other people do. I kind of just paint it. I paint sort of in a very miniaturist style as opposed to a very painterly style. So painting in shadows and painting in highlight, like where light is coming across, that's not my particular way of doing things. And I'm trying to improve and reach out and go into some of these other directions that I see, you know, more inspired by art methods. But at the same time, I'm a little concerned about branching out because I wouldn't say that I have a style per se. I have a method by which I do things. I think that's probably my best way to mention it is to say it is I have a method by which I do things, but I don't really have a style. So some people have a style, some people have a distinct style, but I think I have a method. Like, I don't think that my stuff would actually stand out. That's what I'm getting at. You couldn't say, "Oh, there's that. I recognize that. That's one of JP's pieces." You'd never know it. It's not like you would, and some years ago there was the site that was called Cool Mini or Not became CMON, and they became a producer of games, as you do. But back in the early 2000s, that was a really great site to go on, and you could actually see a lot of people with some very distinct styles. Guys like Eric Swinson and Matt DiPietro and Kev Dallimore. They were undeniable. They really had something interesting going on there. And then everybody started learning from them, and they started applying those methods to their stuff. And so everybody's stuff started looking the same. Because when you drink from the same well, everybody gets the same water, But I learned a way to paint, I guess if I had, I don't know, I looked at miniatures, the way they painted on the boxes and the like, and I kind of copied towards that angle of things, which is not really a style, more of a method. So I apply the method, but I don't really have a style. Let's see. I'm just trying to get some of those supports out of the nooks and crannies back there. I think there's a few left over here as well. Cat hair in paint always makes the paint work better. Cool. Let's see. All right, let's get some coal black here. And we'll we'll undercoat some things that we want to make black. And I think I definitely want to make these little crystals black and everything. Of course, black is a good undercoat for metallic stuff too. So we'll see how this goes. Of course, some of the groundwork, the desert color is not dry yet, so I don't want to get down into that with the wet paint. But that'll be pretty neat. We'll lean into the studio coloring, studio method of Necrons with these guys, as opposed to the Necrons that I'm going to do for my own bunch. But that gives me something different to paint in a different way. So I like doing that, because I would probably not generally, if I'm doing my Necrons in my own scheme, leaning into the whole skeleton sort of a theme, I probably wouldn't do metallics, aside from maybe the joints, elbows, knees, that kind of thing. But it does give me an interesting chance to even lean into some of those more painterly styles as well, because these are going to be kind of just one-offs for Space Station Zero. So it gives me a chance to kind of play with my way of approaching these, instead of doing it with my usual method. So we're going to block in and undercoat certain areas to begin with. So I talked about the character, the SG-1 character named Jonas, and now I want to sing Weezer's My Name is Jonas. But since I'm on the internet, and I'm on YouTube especially, It'd be very hard to do that and get away with it. Cool. Cool. We'll let that sit, and then we'll get some of those other places that need to dry up yet. Of course, it's a little chilly in here, so drying is a little slower, I think. Let's see. So we got rocks sticking out here. And of course, with these rocks sticking up and sticking out, I'm going to assume that there are rocks, and the rocks and the sand don't always necessarily have to be the same colors. But also, some of these, well, the bodies of these critters are going to need to be undercoated black so that I can do metallics over top of them. I'll do a dry brush of metallics. And there's some crystals there. Of course, whenever I get to looking at stuff like this, and I start thinking, well, you know, there's the studio paint jobs, which, you know, it's kind of where I'm going to lean into with these knot crons. There's that. Or I could, like where they have the green in the studio armies, the studio Necrons for workshop. Green's cool, but what if I went with red? That'd be pretty neat. But I digress. The whole point of this exercise is to do it in the studio paint scheme. So, there's that. Miar says, I used Milliput and found it's harder than plastic, and my sanding job is not so great. Ah. Well, I think we're going to have to start getting used to using Milliput because green stuff is gone the way of the dodo. So hold on to it if you got it. I'm sure that it will be brought back, but for the time being, it's going to be difficult getting. But something I've used, I don't have it handy right now, but something I have used is I've used JB Weld Instant Plastic. So that's, you know, it's another 2-part epoxy clay, epoxy putty. Of course, there's also epoxy sculpt, but they sell you a huge big old jug of it for an exorbitant amount of money. What some people have done is they mix the milliput and the green stuff together. And they've had good success with that. There's the pizza. All right. All right. Chicken Alfredo is here. So I'm going to hang out here and chow down for a minute. Hope you don't mind. But I'm here, you're here, I'm here, you're here, you're in the chat, we can chat. Let me wash my mitts. Look out, you. What's going on, Pumpkin? So, I got my food. I got the food. I'm happy now. What's up, Pumpkin? This isn't for you, buddy. Let's see. Wonderful things. So evidently what happened was it was one of their newer delivery people that was supposed to have taken it, and she evidently did not take the delivery with her. So she didn't. It was sitting there at the store, and it never left the store. So it's just been that kind of a day. Just been that kind of a day. Just stepped on my model. Oh no, Myar. Just stepped on. That's that is most. Oh my, that is most unfortunate. Well, hopefully you can fix it. What's up, Pumpkin? Huh? Oh boy. Chicken Alfredo. I thought about pizza tonight, but I just didn't want it. So I wanted something different. But I've been cutting back on my pizza delivery. Of late. Trying to do more shopping, grocery shopping and the like. But it's difficult. When you live alone, it's very difficult to do those things. Well, not very difficult. It's challenging. That's a better way to put it. Well, I hope you didn't break your model too bad, Miar. That sounds a bit demoralizing to me. That's pretty awful. You got the stress of learning a new job at work and you just want to relax and work on a model this in your downtime, and you wind up crunching it. A most distasteful crunch. That sounds like sounds tragic. A most distasteful crunch. That's that sounds horrible. What you doing, Pumpkin? I will say to his credit, Pumpkin does not generally try to go after my food. He's very much not interested in people food. He's looking for science, DD. He's looking for science. He's on the prowl. So it's 9 o'clock. Good time to eat as any, I guess. But that means we also have 2 more hours left in tonight's show. So, if you haven't had a chance already to help support the 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline here on Twitch, if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, now is a good time to hop on over to my Twitch channel and make a donation to help out people who are going through a hard time mentally, emotionally. With your donation to the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Reminds me of Thomas Dolby's she blinded me with science. Science! She blinded me with science. What's up, pumpkin? Huh? You sniffing the chimkin Alfredo? Hmm? What is that? Chimkin? Is that chimkin? Huh? All right. You want to come up? All right. You want to see what's up? What's happening? You want to look at the not Necrons? Huh? Let's not get your face in the wet paint, huh? Okay. Does it meet with? Are you satisfied? Does it meet with your approval? Does it? From what I understand, she was also poetry in motion. Yes. This is also true. Poetry in motion must be a cat, right? That's what Pumpkin says. Really? Now you're just gonna lay on my lap, huh? Well, Pumpkin, old boy, I'll have to put you back down on the floor here because I can't have you on my lap and under the. You just don't fit underneath the desk, buddy. We've done this before. We've tried. Huh? Oh, yeah? All right. There you go. All right. Well, that was quite tasty. Quite tasty. The great thing about being in a hobby room is you have paper towels close to hand, so I can easily clean up your face after a meal. All right. Okay. It's time to trim my beard. Mustache in particular. Mustache in particular. I must ask you a question. Do you think I need to trim my mustache? Alright, so let's see how much cat hair we have in our paint now. Now that Pumpkin has graced us with his presence, so this would give some some nice opportunities to work on OSL, maybe. Maybe. Nah. I don't know that I have that kind of time between now and the next session of Space Station Zero. I'll be doing good just to get these up to metallics. So that's a nice coating going on there, I think. That's that is a nice coating going on there. It's getting the the important thing is to get the darkest down into the recesses. So if I don't get great coverage up on the high points, I'm not really too unhappy about it, because it's going to get mostly dry brushed with metallics. So yeah, these are pretty neat knot crons. So thank you, Black Skull 1965, for sending these on to me. Appreciate the gift. We've been using the Stargrave figures for automatons, the Stargrave cyborgs from North Star Miniatures. We've been using those for most of our adversary pieces. Even if the description doesn't exactly match, you know. This last weekend we had we were in the cargo bay. Cargo bay had turrets, gun turrets, and you had to deactivate those, as well as I think there was a, I want to say there was a, was there an explosive device perhaps in that as well? I don't know. I'm not GMing it, so I couldn't tell you. Let's see. So that is the one drawback to 3D printed stuff is it tends to overlap certain critical places that you need to be able to get to. Unless you've got airbrush or something, and I don't have an airbrush. So alright. That's pretty good, I think. For what we're doing, what we'll be doing with those. Looks good, I think. Cool, cool, cool. Set that off to the side. And yeah. So here we go. We'll go ahead and get some paint on these. Darken up this. Another coat or two on this monolith thing here. Oh, what is that? I picked up a glob of. I picked up a glob here. Oh my. Look at that. I picked up a glob of that this color here. And that completely mussed us up there. So I have to let that dry and go back at it here in a minute. Well, maybe the weather's taking a turn for the better. It was nice. It was really weird this morning because it was snowy and cold and blowing, and then by the afternoon it was very temperate and very nice. Almost thought about going out and priming, but it was still just a little cold for priming, I think. It wouldn't have dried up really too quickly. So I held off from that. I find that if I can get priming done, the painting comes a lot easier. I've got a tackle box full of figures that are primed that I'm like, why am I not painting these? I don't know. How's that for an answer? Probably for so long it's not really procrastination. What it is it's just time, energy, all those things. Thinking you got to sit down and paint for 2 hours at a time when you don't really. Or, just, it's odd. It's odd being an adult with adult things that you need to do. And all the things that you'd like to do, but the things that you need to do get in the way. Or you think you've got to do certain things. Or you're waiting for the right moment. Well, if you wait for the right moment to start, you'll never start. And that's just the fact of it. If you're waiting for perfection, you're never going to succeed. What does they say? Perfect is the enemy of good. Now, personally, I've thought it'd be really cool to be able to, when you wake up early in the morning, unintended, and it's earlier than you normally wake up, and you got an hour or two to kill, and I think, well, it'd be nice to go in and paint something, but then I think if I start painting, I'm going to lose track of all sense of time, and then I'm going to be late. So I don't. Then by the time I get home, I'm so wiped out usually that if I'd like to paint, I don't. But then I remind myself I've got chores that I need to do. Oh, well, there you go. If you don't do this, you won't have that later on. So you want clean clothes, you better do that. Sometimes you got to take care of. There are certain requirements as an adult that there are things that we do need to take care of sometimes. We don't have an option. Just like Greedy was mentioned earlier, he had to put the kids to bed. They were sick earlier this week or last week. So those are things that a parent has to do. They do it because out of love and out of obligation, Probably cut into his hobby time. That is the nature of being an adult and having adult responsibilities. As an adult, I've decided I don't want to do adult things, which is oddly part of being an adult. This is true. This is true. Those are you do have that. You do have that prerogative, but choices sometimes lead to consequences. Bad choices lead to bad consequences. Good choices lead to good consequences. There is that. There is that unfortunate caveat. As adults, we can make those decisions, but we also have to be adult enough to accept the accept the results of those decisions, I think. Where was the line from the one song? I believe it's by the Ataris. I don't remember the name of the song, but the line is, "Being grown up isn't half as fun as growing up." So, all the adventures and mischief that you get into as you're learning and growing and heading on towards being an adult, more exciting than actually being an adult. Very true, I think. But, I mean, being 52 years old, I kind of enjoy where I am in life. I like it. I mean, would there be some things I would like to be different? Possibly. If I had my druthers. Do I wonder how things would be different had other things worked out for me in life? All the time. I don't know that I would be doing what I'm doing now. I probably would have gone other directions with other interests that I had. They'd probably take up bigger portions of my time. But this is how things shook out. This is life. And as they said, as the old boy in Joe Dirt said, life is what you make it. To which Joe Dirt said, "You like to see homos naked? Well, alright, I ain't judging." "No! Life is what you make it." So life is what you make it, folks. Make it good. Temper your passions with wisdom, forethought. Balance in all things. Consider the dung beetle and its Sisyphean task. Yet he never gives up. All right. Oh, take a little break. Oh, my back. Dung beetle. Listen, I roll turds all day. Yep, there you go. There you go. That's what he does. Absolutely. Oh. All right. Let's see. And does he complain? No. He just does it. Because that's what a dung beetle does. So I'm using Tinny Tin by Vallejo Game Color, which is similar to the old Tin Bits, not to be confused with Timbits. Ah! Though I wonder if I put down like a steel metallic before I put this down, if it would give it a more rustier look than if I go the other direction. Because I'm going with this, and then I'm going with the more brighter metallic. I don't know. Dung beetles have the worst job. Yep. But you couldn't tell them that. They probably love it. Now that kind of gives a real beetly look, doesn't it? That tin bits over the black wall, over the black base. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Could do a red-brown wash after the metallics are laid. Yeah, you could, but they don't speak or understand English, so there's that. Yeah. A red-brown wash would, yeah, it would work. I could also try and see what the dirty down rust would do. This stuff is amazing. I like this on terrain. I don't know if I would use it on any miniatures per se. Like it would have to be like a larger thing, like a Imperial Knight or tanks or buildings. This stuff is absolutely, this is the bee's knees right here, folks. I prefer the AK rust pencils on minis rather than the dirty down. I'm finding I like a lot of the AK. Yeah. Yeah, I have not tried those. The pigment pencils. But then again, I also don't do a lot of weathering. Like, weathering is not my scene, man. Like, weathering is just not my bag, baby. Weathering, I find people get a little, like, coming from the scale modeling side of things, I found that a lot of people would go overboard with weathering. So it's something that I kind of stayed away from, and I went for a cleaner, more like commercial look to the way I approach my paint. So that's kind of like, I don't want to say, I feel like it's not a weakness, but it's also not, it's really not a strength. It's kind of like, it's an opinion is what it is. It's an opinion. It's an opinion. And it's okay. You don't have to agree with my opinion. It's just my opinion. I feel like some people use weathering as an excuse to avoid doing good detail work. Others, I've seen weathering where it just looks, it's just right, it's perfect. If you look at the model, and if you look at the prototype the picture that they based it on, I mean, it's 1-to-1. You can't, I mean, it's absolutely terrific. Under the right lighting, it looks impeccable. It looks real, Especially when you get into the larger scales, like the 1/18 scale, 1/48 scale. 1/48 scale is right in between things looking like a toy and things looking realistic. .132 scale. Interesting. I kind of like that. Let's see. I do shave them off and use some water rather than use them as pencils. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to get some water in my metallics cup so I can rinse out that. Be right back. Alright, now I got my metallic water back filled up. Oh, let's see. I got things I gotta do the things with. Got so many things around here I gotta get squared away here. But yeah, the shaving off the AK pencils to use the pigment, use them more as a pigment powder. I've heard of that. That's perfectly viable. Pretty wonderful stuff. Of course, before the pencils and the pigments, there was just pastel chalks. I've been thinking about just getting some pastel chalks from like Walmart and grinding them up. Because then you get all sorts of really neat colors too. Purples and blues and stuff like that, where you can kind of lean into sort of the more of the like alien planet colors, I guess you'd say. Let's see. I was just in Ed's stream and he has a pic of him and Black Skull at the top with the tag "Forever Remembered." Did something happen? I hope nothing has happened. I haven't heard anything, DD. If it did, it would have happened just within the last few days. I haven't heard of anything. Black Skull was just in my stream last week, I think. I haven't heard of anything. Geez, I hope not. Hold on. I mean, you know, we're all of this age where anything can happen at any time. And what would the weather be in the way it has been, and Black Skull living up in the Northlands, way up there. I mean, you know, time and unforeseen circumstances befall us all. Holy crap, I hope nothing has happened. Let's look at the Discord here. Let's see. Don't see anything there. Let's see. What's today? Today's the 26th. I just talked to him. I just talked to Black Skull 5 days ago on Discord. Let's see. Nothing there. Nothing there. I don't see anything on Ed's Facebook. On Monster Den Mini's Facebook, yeah. I don't see anything there. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Let's look at Instagram here. Don't see anything. I don't see anything in stories. don't know. That is a big question in my mind. Forever remembered. That doesn't sound pleasant. I don't know. I mean, 5 days ago and Instagram and all that stuff, you know, sometimes you don't see something for a bit. I don't see his Instagram. Weird. Let's see if I can see his. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, what? Well, hold on. Oh, what the heck? Uh, nah. Hold on. So, there's a post on, okay, so Black Skull's name was Ron Karnak Jr. One of his friends is posted on here. It says, "We will miss you, my friend. You are now with your mom, dad, and the twins." And a message to his daughter, please let us know. Is it his daughter or his wife? I'm not sure which. I'm not sure who Kelly was. Kelly might be his. I guess, is Kelly his wife, maybe? I think Kelly was his wife. I never knew his wife. Must be his wife, yeah. So Kelly was probably his wife. Please let us know if there's anything we can do. Our hearts go out to you. Rest in peace. Well done, sir. I will miss you. What the heck? Guys, folks, we're gonna... evidently, Miar. Evidently. We're gonna go over... Let's see if Ed's still up. Let's raid over to Ed real quick. Rumble, we're gonna say goodnight to YouTube and Rumble, because you can't come with us to the raids. Yeah, so good night,